Okay, now have a look at this. Okay, so now the next topic. Okay, before I move on to the next sum, I think we had already discussed something called the foot of the perpendicular. But let's say, in case you've forgotten it, okay, then just a quick reminder, or recap. So, foot of the perpendicular. Now, what do I mean by that? Is like, let's say, for example, let's say there is a point that is a 3 comma 2. So this point has already been plotted. That's the 3 comma 2. Now, from a, I can draw two perpendiculars. One perpendicular I can draw towards my x-axis. So if I draw a straight line down over here, then that will be called what? The perpendicular from A, where? On the x-axis. Now if I say I don't want to draw it this side, I want to draw it this side. So let's mark with a black and a blue and a red. So let's say if I just bring it down over here. So that this one, if I go in this direction, then this line is called the perpendicular from A, where? On the x-axis. Okay, so this line is called the perpendicular from A on the x-axis. And this point where the 90 degrees or the perpendicular is formed, or where the line meets the x-axis, this point, this is called the foot of the perpendicular. So this is called the foot because you started from here. The starting point is called the head, and wherever you end, that is called the foot. And what is it? Whose foot? It is foot of the perpendicular, because this is the line that is the perpendicular. So whose foot is the perpendicular's foot? So we call foot of the perpendicular. From where have you drawn this? I've drawn it from A, so we call it from A. But where have you drawn? On the x-axis. Okay, so if I call this as B, then B is the foot of the perpendicular. So B, this point, is the foot of the perpendicular. From where? From A on the x-axis. Similarly, if I say I don't want to draw it on the x-axis, I want to draw it on the y-axis, then what do you have to do? Then this, I have to go in this direction. Then this point is called again what? The foot of the perpendicular. From where? Again from A only, but where? On the y-axis. So that means from one point I can draw two perpendiculars. I can draw one perpendicular towards the y and one perpendicular towards the x, and wherever the perpendicular or the line meets my x and my y-axis, those points are called the foot of the perpendicular. Okay, so whenever they talk about foot of the perpendicular, they have to clearly mention whether it's on the x-axis or whether it's on the y-axis, because if they don't mention this, then we are not sure whether I should move towards the y or whether I should move towards the x. So they will always say whether you have to do it on the x or on the y. For example, let's say I have another point. Let's say minus 1 comma minus 3, minus 1 comma minus 3. So again from this point also, so what I can do is I can draw two perpendiculars. One I can go in this direction, that means this will be on y-axis. One I can go in this direction, and this will be on the x-axis. So I have two perpendiculars and I have two foot of the perpendiculars. Again, I can call this as D and I can call this as E. If I call this D, then the coordinates will be what? It will be this will be 0 comma minus 3. Okay, and what about this one, E? This is on the x-axis, so this will be what? Minus 1 comma 0. That will be the coordinates of the foot of the perpendicular. Is that okay?